the instruments are key to the method. And you have to have an enormous amount of variety of instruments. And why is that? Because you have, first of all, people come from all kinds of cultures. So you have to have instruments from all cultures. So I have North American Indian flutes, for instance. I'm just going to play a little bit here. So, and you have to have instruments of different materials, wood, metal, bone, whatever. And you have to have instruments in different registers. So this happened to be a very deep flute. So So you also want to have, I have didgeridoos, I have Mexican flutes, I have, like, you want to have instruments that speaks to spirituality. So this is a Tibetan temple bell. And you also want to have instruments that can speak to your fantasy. So this could also, to free improvisation, like free association, this could be a cow walking on a field with a bell, or it could be a church bell, or it could be a fisherman's boat out in the ocean, or it could be in a Tibetan temple. So instruments that speaks to free association. And then also instruments that speaks to the mood. Let's say that a person would be sour. I don't want to do anything today. So or instruments that appeals to nature. Let's say you would want to do guided imagery to nature. Imagine you are lying on a beach and just listening to the ocean. Move in and out. Or you want to have homemade instruments that doesn't cost much, or maybe even made out of, let's say, two stones clashing towards each other, or two pieces of wood, or like these, I made these instruments out of seashells that I found on the beach that has little holes, so a little rattle. Or instruments that are relating to animals. This is little goat feet.
Oh.
So, or I have another, like for instance, this is a Vietnamese frog. So, so the person can find an instrument that attracts them. And let's say, or important was also that Mary Priestley always had two instruments, a big one and a little one. So here's the little one. And that has importance, that you need two instruments, a big one and a little one, because you would use the instruments as projective tools, meaning working, let's say, working on a father-child or mother-child dynamic. And maybe you would work on role play. First, the father is saying something on the big one, and then the child is talking. So if you can, have two of each, a big one and a little one. Now, also some instruments that relate to the way the body is functioning. So I, for instance, have this beautiful kalimba, and it basically looks like a heart. So if you're working with people, let's say they have heart problems, let's say either psychologically that they have a broken heart, or that they need to connect with their heartbeat and slow it down. So maybe they would pick one like this. So they're basically holding their own heart in their hands and connecting to their own heart in that way. It could also be, let's say, that it's association to transportation. So the train is going. If you know, sometimes it can be very hard to, let's say we work with children, very hard to get them to concentrate. And so you may want to have that one to say, okay, train is starting now. Come on, everybody. And then you would have to have instruments that gives a little bit of a penetrating sound. So I have a little Japanese instrument here, and it gives, even though it's a very small instrument, it gives a very interesting, high penetrating sound through time and space.
Mm. So I wonder whether or not anybody ever says, I don't want to do that. Because that sounds to me like a very unfamiliar, uncomfortable, risky thing to be doing, even in the safety of a therapeutic relationship. So does everybody want to do that?
Nope. I will say I worked at a hospital for 20 years, and what mostly happened, it was a rehabilitation hospital. The first maybe couple of months where people were resistant to starting the rehab process because they were so in shock about what had happened. They have lost movement in their arm, or they couldn't speak well, or they couldn't walk well. So they would come to music therapy, and I would say, pick an instrument or start singing or moving. And they said, nope, I don't want to do that.
Yeah.
I'm not musical. I don't like music. It's noise. And then I would say, okay, would you mind if I played something for you, or I sang something? Would that be okay? Maybe. And then I would ask, what is your favorite music that you listen to? Or do you have any words to how it feels like to be you? And we could make a little song, and I will facilitate the songwriting, but you are going to give me some words. And you're going to tell me what style. Should it be reggae, blues? Should it be classical? Whatever. So maybe through me doing some music first, that could be an entrance. It could also be something else, because I might ask, if you say, I don't want to do that. So I would say, what would you like to do? And then there might be a very long pause, and I might not say anything for that long time, because the silences are as pregnant and important as the non-silence, meaning sitting in silence with a person can be so powerful, because all of a sudden thoughts, feelings, ideas might come to the surface in that silence. that may not be coming to surface when they're sitting alone. And then I might say, what's happening now? And then they may say, well, I don't know. And then I might say, I don't know either. And so you're trained verbally as a psychotherapist and music psychotherapist to ask non-directive questions or reflect back. When somebody says something, you have to know how to manage the verbal part, because that's as much music as the non-verbal. Because you don't want to share too much of yourself. You want to keep it at the clients in their realm, so to speak, as much as possible. So you don't want to give advice, but you might say, so what makes you feel that way? Or in which way? Or tell me more. So that you actually also learn the verbal processing part, which is important. That is different than when you and I, we talk, sit and chat at a kitchen table.
Mm-hmm.